Five, four, three, two, one.
I don't even know what's happening.
Put it in sport mode, and you're gonna fly.
Just exactly how awesome was it?
The mighty Nissan GT-R.
You got the Mustang, the Camaro, the Challenger, the Corvette, the Viper.
America.
Damn, I forgot the bananas.
I love this. Yeah, we'll do it live. Live. Yeah, we'll do it live. Woo! Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. How is everyone doing? I'm Christian Moe, and welcome to the TopSpeed.com podcast. TopSpeed.com is your automotive home for all the crazy, cool, and amazing things on the internet. Welcome. Happy Thursday. We love everybody. Thank you guys for joining us here, doing the live podcast, hanging out, doing awesome. Joining us today, we have our editor-in-chief, like always, Justin Coupler. Say hello, Justin.
Hello, Justin. Hope everyone's ready for the 4th of July.
Woo! Explosions! All right. And also joining us, like usual, is Mr. Mark McNabb. Say hello, Mr. Mark McNabb.
Hello, guys. What's up?
Uh-oh. I think somebody has a podcast feed open with the...
Yeah, I swear it wasn't me.
It is not I.
I heard it.
I'm guilty.
All right.
Justin, you're ruining my intro, man.
I did it on
It was my.
I want to sabotage Mark.
It was my 3 or 4 seconds to shine as a person, like, on this podcast.
No, that already happened a long time ago, and we shut that down because we were talking about your beard, and someone was like, you should just introduce Mark's beard. And I'm like, no, his beard isn't worthy of an introduction. Boom.
Wait, I don't think you understand the awesomeness that is going on my face. It hides.
Yeah,
no
it's not
chin,
that awesome.
Just another fist.
Oh, okay. Wow. So this is an auto podcast, I promise. Anyways, thank you guys. Welcome everybody. Again, this is the TopSpeed Podcast. It is an automotive-based podcast that we do every week on Thursdays, and we're doing it live for you guys with fancy video and crazy sunglasses that I'm going to take off because they make the monitor hard to see. Welcome, everyone. If you enjoy us and you want to listen to us instead of seeing us, you can always find us on iTunes. There are going to be links below this video when the video finally goes up and the live podcast is done. There are links in the post at topspeed.com if you're watching us there. Feel free to subscribe, rate, do all that cool stuff. We really appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
Otherwise, welcome to everyone who's viewing live. I've been told we have a few new friends coming that I have just made in Knoxville. We're going to be talking about them in just a few minutes. So feel free to hit the little chatty. Oh, and Hulty's here. Hi, Hulty.
Hi, Hulty.
Hulty has joined us.
What's up?
Hulty, you're not going to be the only guy hanging out on this podcast, so keep sharp if you want us to hang out with you all the time, too. Right now we've got 8 viewers, so not bad for the start of a podcast, considering we haven't talked about a single car yet. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump straight into our first little business of news before the weekly wheels, and that is Flying Miata. If you guys don't know who Flying Miata is, they are a company that basically takes the Miata that we all know and love and makes it better in every way. They do suspension upgrades, brake upgrades, turbo kits, supercharger kits. If you want a V8 inside of your Miata, they will do that for you. LS1, LS2, LS3, they don't care. They will drop that thing in there. They have a summer camp coming up in a few weeks that I'm going to. So if anybody has any questions about Miata stuff, if you're interested in, even if it's weird technical stuff, like, hey, I have this car and this parts and will that fit, email me, christian@topspeed.com, or put it in the comments and I'll try and gather all those, and I will take all of that with me when I go to see Flying Miata, and I will get all of your questions answered.
Yeah,
So-
I've dealt with Flying Miata in the past with my Miata. I got the FM intake off them, and I got to say, they're really good people and cool to work with, for sure.
Oh, Cyprian has joined us in the chat as well. Hello, Cyprian. Chuck Norris does not approve of his beard. You hush. You hush.
You got ganging up on me, man.
All right. So
I don't need
Go ahead, sorry. Go ahead. I'm going to open my energy drink while you talk.
Oh, I'm done.
Oh, already? We
Oh,
just
wow.
My
That was quick.
statements are done. I said I don't need Chuck Norris's approval for my beard.
Oh, yeah. Whatever.
I have a fist.
All right.
We should probably get this thing moving before we lose our eight viewers.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to jump into Weekly Wheels, then we're going to come back to a little bit more Miata stuff because I have an announcement about Weekly Wheels for next week. So we're just going to start with Weekly Wheels. Let's do Justin. We'll do Justin first.
All right. I spent a week behind the wheel of a 2015 Kia Sorento SXL. It's really it's not what you'd expect out of a Kia Sorento. I remember back in the day, the Kia Sorento has always been nice, but it's never been anything real premium and upscale. This one, the SXL, I believe it's a range topper. They used to have the Limited, and I think they replaced that with the XX Limited, which they now just abbreviate XXL. SXL. Wow, that's hard to say.
Super large.
Yeah. But a 3.3-liter V6, 290 horsepower, has plenty to get up and go about 8 seconds or so to 60, get around 7.5 to 8 seconds, somewhere in that range. But the real thing about this is the inside. It has premium Napa leather interior on the front and rear seats, heat and ventilation up front, a massive navigation system, real crisp Infinity sound system. That sounds really great until you crank it up to about 9/10. When you get it about over 90%, it's the highest kind of washout, but the bass is still the highest kind of washout. I'm not sure if it has too much power for the tweeters or if they're not aimed directly, but somehow they wash out a little bit.
Or you could just not be trying to make your children deaf.
I drive by myself when I do that. Come on, I can't really crank like Mother Goose Club. So
No, that would be hilarious. Like, oh yeah, the kid is talking, and I don't want to hear him. You like your nursery rhyme songs? Boom to 11. Mother Goose.
No, when my kid's not in the car, I put it on Octane on Sirius and just jam out. When my kid's in the car, it's turned all the way down. His nursery rhymes are going on. I'm nice. But I also did a little special where I I had to haul some mulch, doing a nice little yard project. So I crammed 30 bags of 2 cubic foot bags of mulch in the back of this thing with the seats folded, which is pretty damn good for an SUV. It kind of sits between a midsize and compact. It's a little smaller than like an X3, which is pretty dang good for that size of an SUV. The worst part of the whole thing was cleaning up the mulch afterward.
I would say so. I'm sure that was a mess.
God, I spent probably about 20 minutes with my shop vac going back and forth on the carpet trying to get it cleaned up. But everything else on the car was really nice. It's kind of a mixed bag. So you do have the scratchy plastic on the back of or the front of the dashboard and on your door panels. But other than that, there was really nothing I can complain about on this Sorento SXL. It's a little expensive, $42,500, I think. No, $41,700. But it has all the features you could want. It's much better loaded. No, it did not have that. One thing is lacking. But like if someone's looking at, I'm not going to say it's the same as an X3, but if someone is looking at an X3 and they just can't quite swing the payment on it, but they want all the nice features, it's kind of a nice alternative. Maybe it's a little closer to maybe a Lexus RX, but it's a nice alternative if you want a bunch of features, but you can't afford that name brand. Of course, a BMW shopper is not going to go buy a Kia, but someone on the fringe might be a good idea.
All right. I've just been hit up on the Fatchy book by some of the people who are watching our wonderful show. I don't know how to chat, but now I'm registered on the page. Says a guy by the name of Mazda Speed Stig. So Mazda Speed Stig is a man that I've met, and we'll talk about this group in just a few minutes when I get to the Miata stuff. But anyone who's watching the YouTube page, if you're a YouTube subscriber, like if you have a YouTube account or you have a Google Plus account, you can just sign into your Gmail, sign into your Google Plus, sign into your YouTube, whatever. And when you're on the page, just refresh it, and over to the right side of the playing window, there will be a comments box, and then down at the bottom you can just type in there. So if you guys want to hang out and chat with us, you can do that there. So yeah, chat on the YouTube site. But so it's interesting that you brought up the RX. I guess we'll go ahead and I'll do my weekly wheels first. I had the RX 450H, and on my Facebook, on Twitter, even on the site a little bit, I got some people thought I was being a little harsh to the RX, and
A little?
well, so here's right.
You suck.
But I'm going to go into why I was so harsh on this car. For starters, Lexus created this entire segment. Like, Lexus invented the mid-size luxury SUV with the RX back in the 90s. Like, they created this, and they've always been the best at it. But so now I've got a hybrid version, and so let's think about what I'm supposed to have with this car. I get it because it's luxurious. I get it because it has nice equipment. I get it because it is fuel efficient. And traditionally, Lexuses are fairly competitively priced, right? Like, that's what Lexus does. Competitive pricing, great build quality, good luxury, and it's a hybrid, so I want the fuel economy. Those are like the 4 things I'm looking for.
Yep.
I got great equipment and build quality. I got that Lexus feel. I did not get fuel economy, and I did not get pricing. So my car, sitting here, bases at $47,810, and that is for a dead base hybrid with all-wheel drive. And you get nothing with that. You get no navigation. I don't even know if you get heated seats with that. You get cloth interior. $50,000 Lexus, and they give you cloth interior. If you want the leather, well, the leather comes in the premium package. $2,760. That's like a BMW move.
Yeah, I've always taken issue with that when you get these high-end cars that have either the fake leather or cloth seating. It's never made much sense to me. It's like a $42,000 BMW has fake leather seats. I've just never quite understood that.
Well, at least that's fake leather, so when people look in your window, they at least think you have money. Versus, you just get cloth. I didn't even know Lexus made cloth anything.
Yeah, for real. Well, you know, like 5 years ago, they were still putting tape decks in their cars. You know.
Right, but so for $60,000, I think anyone who buys this is an idiot. And I went through last night actually, and I went to all of the competitor websites and started building cars that were competitive to this. And this is the list of cars that I found that were comparatively spec'd. The only difference might be whether they have TVs in the back or not, because this one did have TVs in the back. And I'll say which ones had TVs and which ones didn't. But these are all the cars that were cheaper than this Lexus. And by cheaper, I mean more than $4,000 less. Okay? The Audi Q5 diesel, the Range Rover Evoque, the Volvo XC60 eDrive hybrid, the Volvo XC90, and both Volvos have TVs, the Cadillac SRX with TVs, the Acura MDX with TVs. If you have to spend the same amount of money, do you know what you can get for the same $60,000? A Land Rover LR4 Discovery, decked out with TVs. A Infiniti QX70, decked out with TVs. A Mercedes ML350 diesel, decked out with TVs, or a Porsche Panamera diesel.
Wow.
Yes, all of those are the same price or very, very much cheaper. So like the Audi Q5 without the TV is like $55,000. So you can save $5,000.
Put that towards diesel.
Yeah, well, so the fuel economy for my Lexus says right here on my window sticker, if we can pull it up and kind of look at it, the little number says 28. That's the highway fuel economy. That number says 30 for city fuel economy, and that says 29 combined. I got 26.5, which is about a 10% less than what I should get. When I drove the Q5 diesel, the sticker says 31. So the sticker's even rated higher than the Lexus is, but I got 35 on average and I was beating the crap out of that thing. So not only do I save $5,000 by skipping some TVs, I also get way better fuel economy. And I think for $5,000, I'll just buy a little mount and an iPad for each child that I want to put in the back and do it that way.
Yeah. And to be honest, I don't really, not to hate on Lexus, but I think that Audi has more of that luxury brand cachet at this point. You know,
and so does Mercedes, and so does Porsche, and so does Range Rover.
Exactly. I mean, Lexus is kind of down in that market as well. You are paying a lot for a little bit on this, and you know, granted, Toyota makes some darn good hybrid drivetrains, but I'd rather diesel. You know.
Well, and so like I guess that's my whole problem about it is we know for a fact Lexus and Toyota can make great hybrids.
Yeah.
It's just for some reason isn't one of those, and we know Lexus can make great cars with great equipment that are priced better than all their competitors, but this didn't do that either, and that's why I was so hard on it because it's like Lexus has spent the last 30 years teaching the world that this is what we do. Great pricing, great equipment, incredible luxury, everything you want in a package. And then for the last, 18 or 20 years, they've been pounding hybrids. We are the most fuel-efficient company in the world. And then they bring me this car that is overpriced and doesn't meet the fuel economy. I just see no reason why anybody would buy it. If this car was $5,000 cheaper with all that same equipment, fantastic. Everyone in the world should go out and buy one. But at $60,000, it's just not worth the cash. And again, that comes back to my whole thing about it is Lexus does something, and they do it well. And then this doesn't do anything Lexus normally does.
Yeah.
Yes, the interior quality is fantastic, and it was super quiet inside, and the leather felt great. But you had to pay $3,000 to get that leather in your $50,000 SUV. And you paid all this money for a hybrid drivetrain, which doesn't save you any fuel. Plus, it was slow as hell to drive.
Gotta add that in, huh?
Oh god! So Lexus says 7.4 seconds on their website. The absolute quickest I could time it with sport mode on and everything was 8.15. That was the absolute best I could do. Everything else was about 8.5.
Well, you weren't at sea level and going downhill with the tailwind.
Well, right, I wasn't.
So you granted that, right? Well, it's so funny that that you say these things because it's just I think you're right on this. Lexus does have that really good brand reputation of delivering such quality things for reasonable prices. And I've read your article, I watched the video review, and I have to say that I think you're on the right path with this, and I don't feel like your hatred is unfounded. So
I mean, it's not hatred. It's disappointment. It's like
loathing.
when you come home and your parents look at you and they just say, "I am so disappointed in you." Well, again, I did all these car companies looking for all these competitors, and the only real competitor that I could find that was more expensive was the BMW X5. That's the only one that costs more. When you cost more than a freaking Mercedes-Benz,
yeah,
something needs to be looked at.
Well, the RX would be more of a competitor with the X3, though, right?
So the X3 is a little too small. The X5 is slightly larger, but yeah, so it's sort of in that weird range.
I would kind of put that in more of the X3 because I think the X5 is just a little too big for the RX too. Kind of swing with it.
Exterior size, the X5 is a lot bigger. Yeah, interior-wise, they're actually about the same. The RX is a much bigger interior than it looks like on the outside. There's lots of storage space, and most people who are pricing them, again, the base price of this car is $50,000. The base price of an X5 is $52,000. Mm-hmm. The X3 is a $38,000 car. It's in its own bracket. So, oh wow, we've got a lot going on in the chat. Okay, so some of the guys that I brought over from the Mazda crew. BMW and Lexus should be required by law to never offer cloth interior.
Amen.
Lexus sets their prices based on the badge on the nose. I'll give you that a little bit, but again, when they're charging more than Mercedes, you can't chop that all up to badge. You have to chop that up to a little bit of stupidity. We have some good decisions. Two people said good decisions, so one of the things we did was a great decision. Another person, and this is a good point, my problem with hybrid is it takes so many years to save enough money on fuel to justify the premium. Mm-hmm. That is kind of a problem.
Yeah, and then as soon as you pay it off, then the battery goes, you have to replace it.
Well, his is by the time you make the money, it's time. By the time you make the money back, it's time for you to trade it in on the new one, anyways.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you for the astute observations, crew. I appreciate having you on board. But let's move on from the not so great hybrid to a better hybrid. Mark got to spend some time in a Prius.
I don't know that I would call it a better hybrid, honestly.
Well, what was your fuel economy on it?
Well, fuel economy wasn't too terrible. What did I get? I don't even remember. The car, I had it a couple weeks ago, and it served me well. Fuel economy 48, I think, is what I got. So I mean that's pretty good.
Right, and it's rated what,
It's rated pretty high. I think 40 is kind of the
50, I think.
Let's see. EPA numbers are 51 MPG city, 48 highway, and 50 combined. And I got just under the combined, so about 48, 46. So I mean, it's not terrible.
Well, right, but you're close to the number.
Yes, I am close. That's good. Granted, I was a little hard on it because it's so underpowered that I was almost always in the gas, and I felt like that 1.8 was about to drop out from under the front of the car.
You have the little power meter, right, where you're just always up in the power mode?
Yes, it is always sending power to the front wheels. Only when I was coming to a stop was the line ever going backwards. Now, the bad thing about this car is I think number one has to be build quality. And I understand they're trying to make this car light, and they did it. It feels like I'm inside of a Coke can. When you close the door skins move, and the hatch raises because of the interior pressure. There's almost no sound deadening. I literally felt like a tin can. I had cloth seats. I had no navigation. No, I did have navigation, but it was really kind of lame. The build quality felt very, I guess, subpar. But then again, I had the base model car with 0 options. 0. The only other price added to this car was the destination fee. So, I mean, it was like a $26,000 car with a hybrid system, but it just, I don't know, it felt like it was lacking a lot of stuff for a 2014 model. So.
Yeah, okay. So, I drove the Lexus and Mark drove the Prius, and this week we've actually swapped. Mark has a 2-wheel drive version of the Lexus I was just driving, and I've got a slightly different Prius than he's got. So next week will be really cool if you're interested in... Sorry, one of the chat guys just said, all 23 horsepower of raw Prius power.
He's almost not kidding. The 1.8 makes like 95 horsepower.
Yeah, it's almost
That's
nothing.
it.
Well, but
And
together with the electric motor, it's like 115.
134.
Oh, see? That's like better than a Fiesta.
Come on.
And a CVT. So it's like it's shooting itself in the foot before it even starts.
Yeah, I hate the CVT, especially on that Lexus because the V6 is so loud. Like everywhere you go, it's just wah.
Okay, as much as you think that Lexus was loud and slow, no,
just
this
the engine.
Prius.
Just the engine noise when I wanted to go faster, because it would instantly shoot all the way up to the top of that rev range.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I am in that Lexus right now, that RX. The week or 2 weeks before, I was in the Prius. It sounded like I was driving a lawnmower. In the gas, the car would just emanate with reverberations.
Yeah, no, that 1.8 shakes the whole car. It's weird.
It was so unrefined is the word for it. Granted, it's a great car for in-city. If I lived in the city and only had to drive like 10 miles a day and wanted to save gas, okay. But driving on the interstate every day and having I put about 500 or 600 miles on a car a week, it didn't fit my needs. That's the fair assumption of the cars. It didn't fit my needs. Now, for somebody else, it might be great.
Right. Well, so far, I'm enjoying my Prius. But I enjoy the fact that it feels purposeful. Like you can tell.
Because yours is the V though. Yours is the bigger.
So it's the bigger version that gets less fuel economy, but it still feels like it was built to haul more things as cheaply and fuel efficiently as possible. It does feel cheap. I've also got pretty much a base model. I don't think I have a single option on the car. It is a really pretty blue color, but otherwise, it's like. Go ahead.
I see. Mine was like this greenish teal color, and everybody complimented it, but me. I was like, I don't know. It just kind of.
No, mine's like this deep dark blue. It's like, yeah, blue.
Mine was like, I'm hugging trees green.
Okay.
I think that's the technical name for it. Actually.
At least you guys don't have a purple hatchback. That's what I'm driving right now.
You know what? I'm telling you, I like your fit, but that's a story for another week.
That's another day.
We need to move this on. Anyways, so Mark has Lexus this week. I have the Prius this week. So the next show, there will be a lot more Prius.
Yes,
Lexus
we're going to talk about the same cars but switched, and I'm going to talk about how much Christian is wrong with his assumption of the RX, and how he is
You know
wrong
what?
with the Prius.
The front-wheel drive version might be better. Yours is a lot cheaper than mine was. That might make it a lot better. Again,
Well,
like if
a
that
lot
car was
cheaper.
$5,000 cheaper,
Mine is $4,000 cheaper. 56.4 is what mine cost.
right? But you don't have TVs.
Now,
I do
thought
have
I would
TVs.
never.
Oh, you do have TVs.
I have TVs.
See,
I thought I would
yeah.
never hear anybody say maybe the front-wheel drive version is better. Did you really just say that?
That is a first.
I'm sorry, I
That is a
had to
first.
pry by that. And did you really just say maybe the front-wheel drive version is better?
You know what? Sometimes cars with smaller engines and front-wheel drive are better than their bigger engine and all-wheel drive counterparts just simply because of weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
smaller engine maybe, but the RX doesn't have a smaller engine. It's like
Yes,
it's what,
Jason, that means
3.5
CVTs
liter.
are terrible.
It's the 3.5 V6, which is in every Toyota product ever made except the Tundra.
Right, but in this one it only makes 240 horsepower.
But add
It
in
doesn't
the,
say on the build sheet right here.
90.
Right. No, it
What?
didn't say on the build sheet. I had to
What?
chase down those numbers.
Look at my MPGs. They're so much better than yours. There you go. See, I'm getting better because I don't have all-wheel drive, and I live in Florida, so it doesn't matter. So I don't, well, unless I go to the beach, and then I'll get stuck. But
Right. Anyways, moving on.
yes.
All right. Another thing that's going to happen next week, Mazda is bringing me a Miata. They're doing a Summer of Miata road trip thing. So next week, you won't have my cool background to talk to me at. I will be in Wisconsin on Thursday.
You better bring
Lake
back
house.
some cheese.
I'm going to be at a lake house in Wisconsin doing this work stuff, and you guys will be talking to me at a lake in Wisconsin. So I'll also have a brand new 2014 Miata to talk about. And while dealing with this Miata, I found something out really cool that I didn't know quite existed before. I know Miata people are cool, but I didn't know how cool Miata people were. Does that make sense? Like Justin, do you hang out with any sort of like other Miata people? Because you own a Mazda Speed Miata.
Well, down here in Florida, there's not a massive group of us because it's mostly old people. But up north, when I was in Pennsylvania, there's actually, for being up in the Great White North, there's a nice little collection of us. So, yeah, we all got together. We go to the fast food joints and hang out and rev our engines like we were cool.
Like you're cool. Well, so I was on Facebook. There is a local car group in Knoxville called Knoxville Car Enthusiasts. Different story. We're not going there. But anyways, there is one of the guys jumped on the Mazda Speed Stig and was talking to me about this Miata because like I'm getting a Miata, and he's like, "Come join our group." And it's Knox area roadsters. It's a Miata-based group. There's like 60 people in this group, and they've been the nicest people in the entire world to talk to on the internet. Like, blows my mind. So I'm going to be getting together with them with the Miata. We're going to be doing a bunch of pictures. Some of them have Mazda Speed Miatas. There's some tuned stuff in there. A couple of guys are photographers. So if you guys are interested in Miata stuff for the new car, I've got a lot of stuff coming. Gonna do a big get together with these guys, hang out, do a bunch of photos, just chat, and do like cool car guy stuff. And I just didn't realize how great the Miata community could be. There's like 60 people in this group, and all of them have been nice. None of them have called me any terrible names like they do on the internet. No one has questioned my sexuality because I said the word Miata.
Oh, man.
Because yours has stickers and a roll cage.
Yeah.
I used to get that all the time when I first bought my Miata. Oh my God, my friend bought he had a Mustang, and he kept calling it, I'm not going to say the word, but he kept calling it a 3-letter word car.
Yeah.
And then finally, after I got done tuning it, I told him, I said, here are the keys, go drive it and tell me if you want to call it that car again. Needless to say, he stopped calling it that after he drove it.
Yep. All right.
And he was very sad to drive his V6 Mustang again, right?
Yeah, so what's funny is the guy's like the guy was like 6'6", 300 and something pounds. So this massive guy getting in my little tiny Miata was hilarious.
And then he gets out like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to the news. We are going to start the news on kind of a somber note. I apologize, but lots of cool stuff is coming. First thing is we want to send out our condolences to the family of Bobby Gooden. If you didn't hear about the story, Bobby Gooden was one of the guys who was racing up during the Pikes Peak event. He was on a motorbike, made it to the top of the hill. He finished the run, but at the top of the hill of Pikes Peak, because remember, they just finished paving the whole road a couple years ago, there's a huge gravel lot. I guess he came in a little bit hot, tried to stop, lost control, was launched from his bike. He landed on a couple of rocks. They life-flighted him out, but he did succumb to his injuries, and he has passed. Sadly, we don't like to see with any of this happens. I guess if you're looking for kind of a silver lining, he is only the 5th person to lose his life at Pikes Peak in the event, despite the fact this is the 2nd oldest racing event in the entirety of the United States. He's only we haven't had a death on a bike since the mid-'80s, so that's good. We hate that he's gone, but at least try and take away from this that racing is dangerous. Please be safe when you're out there. Take some extra precautions. But yeah, we want to send out our condolences to him and his entire family. But let's move on because I don't want to talk about sad things. We're going to talk about Mark.
We have a very happy thing to talk about, don't we?
Yeah,
Mark. That's the next topic?
Yeah.
That's Justin's.
No. We're going to do Mark first.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, we're going to do your Hyundai trip. Mr. Mark went and visited the fine folks at Hyundai in Alabama, and he got to drive a new car and see a whole bunch of cool stuff.
I did. I got to drive up to the Hyundai plant in Montgomery, Alabama, and test the all-new 2015 Hyundai Sonata. I also got to see it roll off the production line, which was very, very cool, and I got to see a little bit of the inside things with how they're constructed, all that sort of stuff. So it was a very interesting and informative trip. I've got to say that. So kudos to Hyundai for bringing us up there and kind of showing us the ropes on car construction. It was really cool. As far as the car itself, I really liked it. The Sonata isn't quite as, I hate to say the word memorable, but I think that's about how it sums up. Like you see a current Hyundai Sonata and you're like, that's a Sonata, and it looks so much better than all the ones in the past. But now they're a little more angular, they're a little more cut. They look more like the Genesis than the Elantra. So
again, I feel that the answer is now they look less ugly.
Well, I think it's more along the lines of they're going for more of a almost timeless look. The older Hyundais were very dated. You could tell what generation they were from. This one, including the new Genesis, they look more timeless, kind of like Audi does. You can't tell, unless you're an expert, a 2014 Audi from a 2006 Audi. You can't really tell.
Well, even farther back than that, like the Germans have always done this well, especially Audi and BMW. So you can take like a mid-'90s BMW, right, like the old E36 and stuff, and park it somewhere, and people will know that is an older car. But you can take like a 2002 Kia or Hyundai and park it next to it and be like, which one of these is older? And they'll have a hard time figuring it out until you're like, yeah, that BMW is actually 10 years freaking older and like 2 generations older than this car is.
Yeah.
That design is so crisp.
Kia and Hyundai, of course, in the last 10 or 15, especially 20 years, have just light years advanced as far as both technology, design, interior accoutrements, everything like that. So I mean, they're jumping quantum leaps forward. But I do agree with you guys that it is more of a timeless design, and I think it looks very, very classy, more so than the current generation. But I don't think that it has that pop that the current Sonata has. But either way, the interior where you're going to spend most of your time is a lot nicer. It does look a lot more like the Genesis versus the Elantra, which the current Sonata does. So it shares more of that high-end look. It's got really good fit and finish and everything. The GPS, the navigation, all works pretty good. Now, the engine powertrain, they're pretty much carryover, but they are actually less powerful than before. But they kind of moved around. They did some stuff with the power band. So it's more powerful, lower in the RPMs, and you get a little bit more out of it. So at least it feels more powerful. So, right. Justin, you got a comment?
I'm just laughing at some of the guys on the comment screens.
Yeah.
Scott Kirk
I had two
Miatas at the same time, and my wife had a Subaru. I was really secure in my manhood. After that, he says, we always joked that our driveway looked like an Indigo Girls concert.
Oh, I am so happy we have an active chat queue today. Thank you guys so very much. A big yay, bravo to the local Miata or the local Rotary or Roadsters Club here. the Rotary Club. There's a couple Rotary
Rotary Club, the Lions Club.
Rotary Club, really?
There's a couple of RX fans in that group too, but yeah. So like I'm kind of excited about the new Sonata. So like I honestly I didn't really enjoy the old style that much. I love this new sharp, crisp look of it.
Yeah.
I love the fact that the interior. I mean, yeah, like in your photos, the interior looks like 1,000 times better than the old one. And to be honest, the old interior wasn't bad, but the new one just looks great.
Yeah.
I am a little worried about the 2.4 though, or not the 2.4, the 2.0 turbo.
No,
they cut like 35 horsepower out of that thing.
Yes, but it's more accessible lower in the RPM band, so it's easier to get to. Instead of having to rev it out to like 7,000 RPMs, you get that power at like $4,000 versus something crazy. So it feels peppier more quickly, if that makes sense.
Well,
yeah,
because I never really felt like that old engine. Like it said 270 on the sticker, but I'm like, it never felt quite like 270 horsepower.
No, it got to read pretty quickly. It does. They also have the turbo on the 1.6 liter, which is kind of like their economy engine. In fact, that's what they're touting it as, and that's the only engine available in the Eco model of the Sonata. Granted, I was...
Hold on, sorry. We just had another comment in the chat. Rotary, we're not broken.
We're not broken. We don't burn oil. Sorry, guys.
I think we're gonna have to turn this chat window off so we can actually talk about the news.
This is the best thing in the whole wide world. But what did you learn about American manufacturing when you were at the Hyundai plant?
Okay, so about the plant itself, you can read my review of the plant, kind of a step-by-step thing on that. It's up on the site right now. I learned that basically, like, Hyundai's a boss at making these cars. Like, they really do a great job, and what they like, the whole thing is like right part right now. So the parts are getting off the truck, and then in like 20 minutes they're on a car. It happens so quick. Everything is so like synchronized and coordinated that there's very little delay, very little waste of time and space. So that's kind of like the biggest and coolest thing about it. Also, their automation is crazy. They have so many robots like just doing stuff to the cars. Basically, it waits until you get to the general assembly line before a human actually touches the car. Like they put the floor pan or the carpet in, and that's the first time someone actually like touches the car. So between the like flat sheet of metal coming off the metal rolls till the time it has structure, hood, doors, and everything on it, like no one's touched it yet.
Really?
It's really, really cool.
Perhaps that's why they're still built well.
Yeah, they are still built well. Maybe that's why.
I mean, like the less human interaction there is with building a car, the less there is to go wrong. If we're completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about like GM and their hand-built engines. Like the what is the LS9 or whatever. Like and AMG too. They quote the hand-built. like I'm sure that John Smith does. I'm sure that John Smith does a great job building that engine. But what if he has a bad day and doesn't torque bolt 8 to 10 foot-pounds?
Yeah, I've always had
things can happen.
I've always had an issue with that handmade thing. I remember years ago, like Gateway computers. Oh, we're hand built. A computer somewhere where a human hand doesn't need to be. And I think inside umpteen engines throughout the course of a day, I don't think a human needs to mess with that.
Yeah. So I mean, everything is very, very controlled quality, and Hyundai does tout a 97% success rate as far as the cars from start to finish getting through quality control and without any a light bulb out or wires crossed or anything like that. So 97% of their cars roll out of the assembly line without any having to go back through quality control. So that's pretty cool.
I'd like to see kind of a comparison of how AMG does with the hand. I'd like to see kind of a comparison. How many AMG vehicles roll out and they say, oh, okay, we got to send it back for this or that compared to the 97% Hyundai does.
Well, so that's a good point. Like, I don't think I don't know anything about manufacturing in major quantities like this, but 97% doesn't sound high enough for me. Like, considering how long we've been automating and building cars, like, how many cars can that factory pump out in a day?
About 1,200.
Okay, so at 1,200, right? So that's what? 12 cars is 1%. So 36 cars a day can be broken and that's totally okay?
Not broken, but like let's say
not right.
the paint has a fleck in it or something like that. Generally, it could go from one thing to the other, and if the car is it doesn't meet quality control, or maybe a door panel is out of alignment, or there's too big of a gap on the right side of the hood, they have to send it back and then just adjust it. So I mean,
like I'm glad they pay that much attention to it, but yeah, it's like in my head I'm like, okay, so 36 cars a day, that's 12, or that's 120 plus 100. Well, hell, that's almost close to 150 cars a week, which is how many cars in a year? And I'm like, wait a minute, that's a lot of money and a lot of cars in a year.
Well, I think Justin's got a good point. Let's check GM and Ford and AMG and.
Right. No, like I want to know what those numbers are, because you're like 97%, and you made it sound like they're really proud of that, and I'm like, whoa, no, I mean, cars are how expensive.
They had a big banner on at the end of the assembly line, 97% first time through. So.
Well, you have to remember also, a lot of this QC stuff that comes back is stupid little things. It's a light bulb that jiggled loose on the way down the assembly line. It's a wiper blade that got a little bit cocked on its way onto the wiper arm. It's stupid stuff like that. It's not like major flaw.
Well, but I still want nothing wrong with my new car. But I'm just trying to think about the money involved with having to fix even a loose light bulb on 20,000 cars a year.
Well, that's why they pay people to do it.
Yeah,
right. I really want to know what all these other numbers are now. It's just got my head moving with all these numbers and all these things that could be happening in all these plants, and now I want to know, what does Nissan spend on fixing this? What does GM spend on fixing this? Like, how much is that adding to the price of my car?
Yeah, that's true. Have you ever been to an assembly plant, Christian?
No, so I want to go do the Corvette plant because I'm close to that. I want to go do the Spartanburg plant because we're close to that. I want to go do the Chattanooga plant because that's an hour from my house, but I've not been able to do that yet either. But yeah, no, I'm super fascinated by all this stuff, and I want to go do tours of all these plants. I just haven't gotten around to doing it.
Well, next time I'm in town, Kristen, you and I we're going to go to Chattanooga. And
sounds awesome.
So anyway, yeah, I mean, it was a good experience overall. I got to see some really cool cars, see some really interesting techniques on how to build stuff. I got to meet the president of Hyundai. I mean, that's cool. I was sitting on the balcony, and he's like smoking a cigar, and it's like 10 stories up. But how are you doing?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I got to shake some bigwig hands and stuff like that. So it was
cool.
A good experience.
All right, so enough about people dying, enough about small cars that are kind of interesting. Justin, horsepower!
Yes, horsepower.
Yes.
700 of them.
And 7.
So back when Dodge and SRT first started talking about the Hellcat engine, we knew it was going to have a lot of power. We knew it. And they said over 600 horsepower. And also often we hear these manufacturers tout over 600 and something horsepower, over 500 horsepower, and it ends up 502. Round it up.
Because that's over, buddy. That's over.
It's It's technicality. It's over.
Yeah. It's like 501.5. Okay, it's 502. Just put the second on there. And then when this all came out, we're like, okay, maybe it's going to be in the 620 range because they're not going to try to beat out the SRT Viper. No way they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, just yesterday they released 707 horsepower. 707.
I just want to know what is the aspect ratio of the rear tires in this car? Are they like 415s or something?
I'm gonna say big.
No. There is no rear tires. There's just a rubber rod that goes across the entire back of the car.
There's a 1/4-inch gap with a differential in between. Maybe current.
I mean, that is insane. And then the torque's not even at 650 pound-feet. That's amazing in itself too. I mean, just the combination.
Actually, I think that's limited.
It probably is. And speaking of limiting, the most ridiculous part about this car. Okay, they have the valet key. We know what that is. It reduces power. Ford has the My Key thing, and Chevy I think has one too. This one Okay, I'm not going to ask you guys because you know, but if anybody had to guess, it's okay. Maybe they'd limit it to 300 horsepower or so. No, they'd limit it to 500 horsepower.
That's still a lot of room for
power cut.
That's a whole lot of hauling ass right there, 500 horsepower. It's like you could walk up to Camaro. A valet could just take this thing up to a Camaro SS, go, "What's up, homie?" and just fry the tires and smoke them.
Well, so
with the valet key.
Right, but so Camaro S. Well, the valet keys usually limit speed too, but
Not the 60, I doubt.
I think a lot of valet keys limit to like 35 or 40.
I highly.
Well, that would be a good off-the-line start anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
But, well, so you said
I don't know
Camaro
where to-
SS. Like I want someone to think about this. Camaro SS is what, 425 horsepower or so?
Yeah, 420.
420. So you could buy a V6 Camaro and a Camaro SS and just barely have more horsepower than the one Challenger Hellcat.
And it's just the
How absurd
awesomeness.
is that?
The awesomeness is unfathomable. I was amazed when I saw that number. Like it came across my Twitter feed, and I was like, 707. That has to be wrong. I thought someone was joking around, and I looked under Chrysler and damn sure they're
They
707.
It should have been 607. Like,
Yeah.
that's the first thing I thought.
Yeah.
It's like there is no way it's that much power, and especially to tease it at 600 plus. We all undershot this thing, and I think Chrysler did that on purpose.
Oh, of course they did.
To get us all thinking low power and then shock us with the 707, because they tested this thing.
Oh, of course. And they released that number on their 100th anniversary too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
And they timed it absolutely perfectly, and
yeah.
it's just I don't know what to say about it besides wow. Chrysler is coming with it hard now.
We had in our chat, valets are going to be wiping out a lot.
Like
They're going to be wiping out a lot.
Like I said in the review, they're going to go Ferris Bueller on your ass.
I need to get a job at a hotel somewhere. Let me drive your Hellcat.
But now the question is, what is Ford and Chevy going to do? Chevy can't touch it. 580, I think, is the most powerful Camaro outside the Copo.
Well, but that's the thing is Chevy can touch it now because we have the new Z06. It won't be 700 horsepower, but the Camaro weighs less than the Challenger, and the Camaro is set up to handle better than the Challenger. And if they make a new ZL1 that instead of using the old supercharged V8 uses the new 650 horsepower supercharged V8, there's still going to be a pretty solid fight on their hands. And then they could make a new Copo using that new supercharged engine and crank the power up to 750 if they wanted to, and boom.
Yeah, and let's not mistake things here. The Challenger is still going to be a lead sled regardless of how many horsepower it has in it. It is straightforward, hold onto the wheel as hard as you can and press the gas.
Right. It's not a sports car. It's still a muscle car. The Mustang and Camaro have sort of morphed into sports cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this also brings up the issue is how long will this car last? How long will Dodge and Chrysler actually keep it on the market? Cafe standards are coming up. Yeah, that's max. Cafe standards coming. No one wants to buy cars again. I guarantee this thing's going to be like 13 miles to the gallon in the city.
Yeah, I bet you this is like their Hail Mary of like, yes, muscle car. And like we're going out with a bang after this. We're going to make turbo 4 cylinders, everything, and 40 miles to the gallon. But right now,
enjoy.
Yeah.
Well, but part of Cafe comes down to the amount of cars you sell. So
it's an average, yes.
If they were smart and they're like, we're only going to make 500 a year, like suddenly because Chrysler's a massive company that's now part of Fiat, which is a massive company with lots of super fuel efficient cars, suddenly it doesn't make that big of a difference. Like that's one of the things. Like people ask, how can Ferrari and Lamborghini keep doing the cars they do with all these cafe standards? Well, it's because Lamborghini is part of Volkswagen, which makes all these TDI diesels and all that sort of stuff, and Ferrari is part of Fiat.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps offset all of that. So I mean, if Chrysler plays their cards right, they could keep something like this going for a little while.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
I think Chrysler's they're not the only ones who's got that, thing in mind, too. I mean, obviously GM has a lot of performance cars, and not that the Corvette really is a gas guzzler, it's actually pretty efficient, but like the Camaro Z01, Z28, they're offset by all the Avios and Sonics out there. They're getting 40 miles to the gallon, 35. So, I mean, they're able to sell these crazy cars. And I think Chrysler has that going for it as well, with all the crap that they sell. It's like, the Dart stuff.
200 the Dart.
But I think 5 years max lifespan of this car. But I mean, I think they're going to sell the crap out of them. I really do. And of course, price is going to be outlandish. It's probably going to be competitive with a Z28, which is like 75.
Yeah.
But yeah, I foresee a lot of these getting sold, and I don't know that they're going to limit numbers. What do you guys think about that? Do you think they're going to limit the production numbers?
Yeah, I think you're going to see at the most maybe 1,500. I don't think you're going to see more than 1,500.
Really?
So I think they're going to have to, and that serves two purposes. One, there's probably not a very large market of people out there looking for this car that can afford this car, and if you they're not going to sell a lot to begin with, so limiting numbers won't do very much, but as far as hurting sales. But if you limit them and you tell people there are only 1,500 of these that exist, the people that are going, well, I'd like to have one and I could have one, but I don't know, they're going to jump because, well, it's limited and I have to get it because then I won't be able to. So they can, I'm sure that they've done probably all the math on how many of these they think they can sell. And then if they were smart, they'd bump that number up by 150 cars and be like, this is how many we're limiting them to. Boom.
Yeah, I think limiting it is the only way to go. There's no way they can just say, hey, here you go, guys. Here's a whole bunch of Hellcats. Have fun.
Right. Although, I mean, if they wanted to give each one of us a long-term loaner to really make sure they got tested well,
I would suffer through that.
Yes, I would make that sacrifice, guys. I mean,
we would take one for the world team.
Yeah.
Sadly, it would be a sacrifice because we're paying gas bills.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I can't
help tires. How many sets of tires do you think you'd go through in a month?
Man. Well, I know the Z28 is supposed to go through tires about every 25 to 4,000 miles.
Yep.
So about every oil change, you got to get some new tires for the back.
Those would be so expensive.
And yeah,
oh my God, holy shit! We got to get moving. We're at 50 minutes already.
Whoops.
This is the best conversation ever. We're talking about horsepower here, okay? It doesn't matter.
Right. Well, okay. Well, let's keep horsepower going. So Goodwood was this weekend, or this last weekend. A whole bunch of crap happened at Goodwood. I picked out a couple of things that I thought were kind of important, and we're going to name them all off. Then we can talk about them after I name them all off. So Nissan brought a couple of GTRs, including a brand new, even super duper crazy, faster prototype version of the Nismo Track Edition car, and that blistered and blew away the overall record for Goodwood. Nissan wins Goodwood in the supercar thing. They did a time of just over 49 seconds, which is insane. McLaren showed up with a GT3 version of the 650S, so if you're a gentleman racer and you want a McLaren super fastiness, you can get that. Ford unveiled the brand new version of the Focus ST with a few visual upgrades, I think a teeny tiny power boost, some suspension stuff, which is the big change there, so it'll handle a lot better. JK showed up with a Kermit Green LaFerrari, which was kind of cool to look at because it's not freaking red, and all the LaFerraris have been red. And then the Bonham sale totaled over $39 million.
Million?
Yes, million. And I've got a I was supposed to make a shout out to one of the guys in the Miata forum who doesn't own a Miata anymore. He now has a K-Swap Civic. So there you go, Josh, your K-Swap Civic. But so we'll jump back to Goodwood. So what do you guys want to talk about first?
The K25. the VTEC, yo.
VTEC kicked in, yeah.
Does it have a VTEC gauge?
No, stop. Goodwood.
Very tall engine coolant. That's what that is.
The big news here with the GTR, the coolest thing I took out of the whole thing about the GTR is who was driving the car. It's a dude that raced on video games.
Oh, yeah. Well, but their whole GTR Gran Turismo team is doing fantastic.
I know, and it's amazing.
They're really doing well.
It just goes to show you can actually learn a thing or two playing video games.
Well, you know what I like considering drivers? Do you know who is driving the new Focus ST up the hill?
No.
Former Stig, Ben Collins.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And the ST, that kind of excites me. The visual changes are very minor. It's got HIDs now. The front bumper has been massaged super, super slightly. I think they're the wheel design has been modified, but not much has changed visually. But they've reworked a lot of the suspension. The car's a lot stiffer now. The car's going to sit, I think, a little bit lower. And I believe there was a teeny tiny power boost, like less than 5 horsepower or something. I thought.
I don't know. From what I'm seeing, it's the same 252 it's always been, but.
Okay, yeah, 252 and 270. So that hasn't changed. But they again, change the suspension. So if you guys have not driven Focus ST, the damn thing is bonkers. Like it for being a nose-heavy front-wheel drive car, you would never know it from handling it. Ford has done so good with that suspension setup. It hugs well. It's really neutral in turn in. You can get some lift off oversteer. Like handles incredibly well. Super powerful. In a straight line, you still get a lot of torque steer, but beyond that, you would never know this is a front-wheel drive car. It's a wonderful thing to drive. So them being like, by the way, we are making this thing handle even better. Have fun. Like. Rain explosion.
What was that?
Rain explosion. Oh,
Pink mist.
All right.
yeah, Focus ST, one of the best cars we make. We're making it better. Deal with it.
Wow, you're cool.
So anyway,
But so like that was exciting. Again, McLaren brought the GT3 version of their new 650S. If you don't know what the 650S is, it's a 12C. That's a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then they make the GT3 version, which is a race car version, which is way better.
and carbon fiber.
Did you see the wing on that thing?
Yeah, it's like a 747 back there.
Yeah, no. I saw a piece somewhere, and I don't remember where. It wasn't us; it was somewhere else. And I don't know if it's like actually official. It might have just been on Twitter, but it was like the biggest wing at Goodwood was on the GT3 McLaren.
I can believe it. I mean, that thing is huge.
That thing's massive.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like if you turned it upside down, the car would fly. Like,
well, almost all of them would. We had a few other. Bonham's. How much money? Like, I can't believe they made so much money. I mean, I can because it's Bonham's at Goodwood and they always do that. But $39 million. You know, they had that Ferrari that went for $18 million. That the 375 Plus, which is super gorgeous. They had the Dietrich from 1902. That went for $1.7 million. They had an old Lamborghini Countach, 1975. That was a special edition one. How much did that one go for?
$1.6 million.
$1.6 million for an old Lambo. Looks
Those
like
look
Ferrari's
so
not the
cool.
only ones that can make money on their old cars now. So yeah, lots of crazy cool stuff happened at Goodwood. We still have Goodwood news going up, so if you guys like Goodwood, pay attention to the site. We still have a lot of stuff going on there. Yeah, holy crap, we're super low on time. So we're gonna jump straight to what tends to be everyone's one of their favorite parts: questions and answers. We've got 3 questions this time. First one is from Billy Wood. Rumor has it that the upcoming Focus RS will be all-wheel drive with 300-plus horsepower. That would put it right in the line of fire of the STI, and why not even the CLA 45 AMG? How do you guys think it will stack up against the competition? If I was in the market for such a car, should I wait for the RS, or should I just go buy the Merc or the Subaru? I have a lot to say on this, but I'll let you guys go first, and maybe you can get most of my quibbles out of the way.
I don't know.
That's a tough one because the Merc you're getting Mercedes.
Yeah.
And with the Subaru and the RS, you're kind of sort of in the same little area. So the Mercedes is all the way over here.
Right.
And
Well,
the other one's on
and
the
the
side.
Mercedes is probably a lot more expensive too.
Yeah,
to
in
the long run too.
the CLA, yeah.
Everything like that.
If you're looking for just balls to the wall, go fast. Go with the RS. The STI I take issue with because of the way it looks and the fit and finish of Subaru and so on and so forth. But if you want the quality interior, then you got to go the CLA. But you're also spending a crap ton more money.
Well,
okay.
I mean, a decked-out Super STI is pretty darn expensive, and
Yeah,
then
closing in on 40 or
then you're
35
looking
or
at the
something,
CLA, which is actually really cheap for a Benz. But I
Right,
mean,
but I still think
it's more
the
money.
AMG version's like $50,000 or something.
Yeah, I was going to say the AMG's up there in the 50s.
Yeah, but I mean, they're kind of different cars. So, and the
Right.
CLA is that all-wheel drive too?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
See, I mean,
Well,
are you really
okay.
going to rally your CLA? Are you going to
No.
take that around like
anyone who
Goodwood?
buys an STI usually isn't going to rally their STI either.
Oh, shut up! You can.
You can, but nobody will. Just like nobody takes their Corvettes to the track. You can do it, but nobody does. Here's my biggest thing right now. The upcoming Focus is going to have 300-plus horsepower and all-wheel drive. Well, guess what? So is the last Focus RS and the Focus RS before that. It's not happened. Ford has said, like, especially for the last generation Euro Focus, when the RS comes out, we're going to have 300 plus horsepower. It's going to be all-wheel drive. It's going to be this rally rocket. And that never happened. Yes, they ended up with the 300 horsepower Focus when they did the RS5 500 limited edition model, but that was still only front-wheel drive. That was all we got. The base Focus RS was like 360 horsepower, or was 260 and front-wheel drive. They keep saying we're going to get this crazy all-wheel drive Focus, and they don't do it. So I don't see it happening this time. If you do get an all-wheel drive 300 horsepower Focus, I would take it over the STI. I think it looks better, it'll be built better, and to be honest, it'll probably handle a little bit better too, because Ford actually makes some really good handling cars. If you are interested in the Mercedes, because you want something with nicer quality, everyone seems to forget, but Volkswagen makes the Golf R. 270 horsepower or so, all-wheel drive, 6-speed manual, and incredible build quality. So you could always do something like that, and that's about the same price range as the STI, 30, 35.
Yeah.
So if they actually do this, if Ford actually really comes through with an all-wheel drive, super-duper Focus, shit yeah, buy that thing all day. Subaru, I love you, but hell yeah, go for the Ford. If you're looking to blow money on an AMG, there are lots of other things you can get for 50 grand. Hell, you can get a Corvette for that much money if you just want fun and performance. If you want something that's nicer, that's a hot hatch, that's that kind of hot hatch, go with the Golf.
Yeah. I think that's a good summation of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Gary Davis says, given all the craziness going on with the Football World Cup, if anyone watches it, I watched it! What do you guys think the best car would be for running away from the opposing team's raging fans and hooligans? Should it be light and nimble so you could move through traffic, or just be something big and smash your way out of danger? I might have watched too many action movies.
I think the only way to go with that is smash. I mean, nimble and fast is nice, but the second someone hits you, you're done. Something big, heavy, and just thick, just ram through stuff is the way to go.
Yeah, so
yeah, I would agree. So I've got two choices for this. I would either do the Ford Raptor or the Ram Power Wagon.
Oh, even better.
Just because. Of course you'd have to get like the bulletproof windows and stuff like that, but yeah, either one of those trucks would just, yeah, you could just run over people all day and not realize it. It's like the perfect zombie car.
All right. I'm not entirely sure which end of the spectrum I'd go on, so I picked one from each. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. If you guys in the live chat, have a question you want to ask, we've got one more question after this. So if you have a question, throw those in now, because the chat's like 45 seconds behind the actual live feed that we're doing now. So throw a question in there, and we'll see if we can get to it in a few minutes. But for me, if I was going to do big and crazy, I would do the Marauder. If you're going to go big and crazy, do big and crazy. Has gun ports, completely like bomb-proof and bulletproof, and it'll drive through buildings and people and cars. If I was going to go the short and nimble route, like the Fiesta ST, I think. Super quick, super nice handler, really short and nippy. You could, get through a lot of alleys. Like I think with the Fiesta ST, you could actually get away from people, and like especially if you're in a city, get to where they can't find you. Plus, it's a Fiesta, and lots of those things are in the world. So as long as you don't get like the obnoxious snot green one, if you have like a white one or a black one or whatever, you could just hide. If you can get out of eyesight, you can hide.
One thing about the
you
Fiesta
can never
too,
hide in a Marauder.
I don't think that you could really, take this into account too with the Fiesta. It's got that really like sharply angled hood and windshield. You just plow right over. They just fly up over you.
Oh, I never did give a vehicle. My vehicle would have to be the 2014 Incas, that big armored, massive school bus with bars on the windows. I think that is a whole lot of awesome. You can just park. You can just park in the middle of the hooligans, lock your doors, and go to sleep, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go to our final question from Kirby91. Guys, what would your advice be when buying a new car, and how do I spot a good deal? There's so much involved in this question that I think we should just leave it down to a couple of really big basic points. And I want to go ahead and jump on this first. So it would be, okay, start with crawl underneath every single car and look for absolutely anything that's leaking. And I don't care if the owner goes, oh, that's just this, or oh, that's just this. Crawl under it, look for any leak anywhere, take a photo of it, and then go ask a professional, what is this? And then back to professionals, just take it to somebody. I don't care who it is. Almost every single mechanic shop in the entirety of the world will pull it in and look at any car for free to try and get a potential customer. Be like, I'm looking to buy this car. I don't know anything about it. Would you please just lift it up and look for anything out of the ordinary?
Yeah, touche on that. I think that's a great point. To always have somebody look at it. And if the guy selling the car isn't willing to let you put it on the lift, you might want to steer clear of it.
Yeah,
and that's private party too. I mean, well, I guess you could do that with a dealer, but my advice for that, especially if you're going to buy from a dealer, always go at the end of the month, because that's when they're looking to get their numbers in, their quota. They're more willing to work with you on price at the end of the month, because they can take that number to their boss and be like, look, I sold 20 cars this month versus not. So that's my advice on that one. And always try to sell your trade private party, because you get more money out of it than trading it in.
Yep. Nope. That's solid.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you guys with the get the car in a mechanic shop, have them look at everything. If the owner won't let you take it, there's something wrong with it. And if you're looking at a new car, this is the exact time to buy it right now, because 2014s are sitting there, 2015s are coming in. They want those 2014s the hell off their lot. They'll give you all kinds of deals on 2014s.
Yeah, very, very true. And even more into like September, November.
Oh yeah.
When wintertime's coming up, and now the fleets are coming in of the 2015, and they've got this car sitting there. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's a 2014, so old. You can get a good deal on it.
Yep. Another thing to think about when it comes to trade-in. So you will get more money from a private party if you're in a position where you want to get rid of a car quick. Obviously, it won't always work this way, but if it happens to work out that way, you will get more money for your trade-in if you're trading in to like the dealer, like that brand. Like if you have a Nissan and you want a new Nissan, trading that in at a Nissan dealer, they're more likely to give you more money because they're a Nissan dealer and they can sell their used Nissans at a Nissan dealer, and that sort of gives them some brand credit. So they're willing to pay you a little bit more for your trade-in that way. Plus, as a returning customer, they're also a little more likely to give you some better deals, or maybe
especially if you bought it at that dealer.
Yeah. So they want to keep that stuff in there. All right, we did get one question in the chat. Andrew, okay. So do we have any info at all on the new ND? He heard a rumor that it was coming with a 1.3 turbo engine. Is there any truth to this? The only info we have on the new ND is that it is going to be lighter than the current car. Yep. It is going to be unveiled in September, at the beginning of September, and we have seen what the chassis looks like. Mazda released a photo of that a while back. As far as the engine, I can tell you right now it is not going to be a 1.3 turbo. The only turbo engine Mazda has right now is their big one that they're putting in the Mazda Speed 3 and in some of their small SUVs, but they're moving over to everything that's Skyactiv. All the Skyactiv stuff is naturally aspirated. A Mazda today, or just yesterday, released a new video that's a teaser for the ND, and you can hear the engine, and it does not sound turbocharged at all. I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a 1.5 or a 1.6 again, but I expect it to be a high-strung, highly optimized Skyactiv engine like what they're doing now in all their other cars. So.
A couple issues with that. First of all, in so many new cars, even in my Miata that was turbocharged, the Mazda Speed version, you cannot really hear the turbo stock. You don't hear it until you open up the intake and you get a blow-off valve. Then you can actually hear it. These stock twin scrolls, you don't really hear them unless you're on top of the engine. Number two, Mazda has already made it very clear that the new Miata is not going to kind of go on the same design of everything else, whether that's just the body or if that's body and engine. They've already said it's not going to have the same Kodo design as the Mazda 3 and so forth. Yeah. And they haven't really confirmed that it's going to be a Skyactiv engine. The chassis is Skyactiv.
There's no reason they would not do at least Skyactiv branding on their engine. Plus, we've seen the engine in that photo that they gave us of the chassis. It looks way too big to be a 1.3, and there is nothing on there that looks like it has turbocharging anywhere.
Well, but remember the angle we saw from the engine, it cuts off right at the bottom of the exhaust accumulator, so you're not going to see it. The picture you were pointing at before was actually the intake side.
Yeah.
The picture Mark and I actually saw, the picture we saw, you can see it cuts off right where the accumulator, right where the turbo and bolt on. They cut it off right there. So it kind of makes you wonder, why would they cut the engine off right there?
Maybe, but I don't see the turbo thing happening. I just don't. They've partly because they don't seem to be doing anything to push their turbo technology. Like, they haven't. Since that 2.3 came out, like, they've not touched turbo stuff. They just haven't. Everything has been on optimizing their naturally aspirated engines. That's why they have the world record compression ratio on a naturally aspirated gasoline engine. Like, that's what the whole idea of Skyactiv is to take what we have and what we know and make it the absolute best it can be, and make it as optimized as humanly possible for power and fuel economy without adding all this extra stuff, without jumping into boost. Like, originally, that was the whole idea behind Skyactiv to begin with, was to avoid boosting engines. It was to see what they could do without adding the weight and complexity that comes with boost.
But here's the deal with the Miata. Mazda doesn't give a flying crap about all that stuff when it comes to the Miata. Mazda doesn't care. The Miata is their sports car. They build the Miata differently than every other car they build. When you drive the 2014 Miata, I drove it already. Trust me, you're going to notice this is not like the other Mazdas. It has everything's cheap and as lightweight as it can possibly be. Nothing is really premium on it. They build that car completely different than the rest of their lineup. Always have and always will.
I guess
yeah,
so.
Justin, I agree with you on that one.
Happening.
I don't know. I agree with Justin on this one. I think that the Mazda is kind of, or the Miata is kind of its own thing. It's its own car, separate from the lineup. Whether they put a turbo on it or not, I think that it's still going to have that uniqueness about it. And hopefully, if there's not a turbo on it, then there's enough room for you to put a turbo on it later. But
well, there'll always be enough room.
Oh yeah, there's always plenty of room in those things.
You can make room.
I don't need that AC. I'll take that out. I don't need all that stuff.
But yeah, I kind of think that things are going to be different with the Miata, and in that same line of thought, why not depart from your Skyactiv branding to do something different, like a turbocharged? Now, conversely, they could say, let's put the Skyactiv name on the Miata, and kind of give
Skyactiv T for Skyactiv Turbo.
Yeah, they're perfect.
Well, it's already going to have Skyactiv technology. The chassis is.
Right.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Like, branding that engine that way could give the branding more cachet as far as the other cars go too. Because hey, look, our MX-5 Miata is really great. It goes super fast. We got the same technology in our Mazda 3 and Mazda 6.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Civic Type R. It's an Earth Dreams engine, but it's a turbocharge.
Yeah.
I guess so. I don't know.
World.
I see them doing everything they can to put a 1.6 in it, just like the original Miata had a 1.6 in it. And I see them, because with the way they're doing their power, I see no reason why they wouldn't be able to push a naturally aspirated engine to 170 horsepower like the car has now, and they're just going to cut 400 pounds out of it.
Yeah,
and
but imagine that 100.
That's a better power to weight ratio than your Mazda Speed Miata and any other Miata that's ever been made. And you still have that feel of a naturally aspirated engine. You still have that swelling power. You still have the ease to drive that comes with all that. You don't have the issues with boost coming on quickly. Like, it creates a more natural driving experience.
Well, with twin scroll turbochargers in the variable geometry, you don't have to worry about the boost coming on like wham, like in my Mazda Speed. Yeah, it's bang. But in these new twin scrolls, variable geometry, all that stuff, you don't have that anymore. The torque is coming in at 1,500 RPMs in these things nowadays. So you don't have that. They don't have to worry about it.
Okay, we have one last thing to say about this, and then we have to move to Own Drive Burn because we're way over time. Thank you, Hulty. Welcome back. Hulty just chimed in. Wasn't the new Miata built in partnership with Alfa Romeo? Could it get the 1.7 turbo from the 4C? That would be awesome. 240 horsepower.
Hulty, you just made my dreams come true.
Hulty, I will be driving a 240 horsepower Miata soon. One of the cars I'm driving at Flying Miata is their Targa car Nancy. It is an NC with a supercharger kit and is 241 horsepower, and that is my rental car for the week. So, boom. Yeah, Andrew Burt, I would buy that on day one.
Agreed.
I'd sleep at the dealership the night they released it.
Okay, we're done. One last thing, Own Drive Burn, podcast over. Own Drive Burn is from Todd S19. Also, thank you to everyone who's chatting, and thank you to Gary Davis and Billy Wood and Kirby91 for your questions. Todd S19, I have some cars for Own Drive Burn. Hope Mark is going to love this one, and he is. We've got the AMG G-Wagon 6x6, the Marauder that I just talked about in the Getting Away from Football Fans, and the Bigfoot Monster Truck. Mark, you can go first.
All right. Well, as much as like I like the Marauder and how cool it is, with the gun slots and everything like that. If you saw the Top Gear episode where they blow it up and stuff, it's a beast. But it's a beast. I don't know that I would really want to drive it. But so I would say I would burn that one. Okay.
Can
but
you burn?
Yeah, I would have to do some sort of like really cool military exercise to where like, it was really cool watching it burn. Conversely, I would do the Bigfoot for a day, just drive that once because it's a freaking monster truck. How can you not drive that? It's Bigfoot. It's Bigfoot. I would take Bigfoot and I would crush the Marauder. That's what I would do.
Nice combination.
Yes.
So yeah, as it was burning on fire.
And then Bigfoot just explodes because you cut a gas line and
and I die. But anyway, well, I would die and go to heaven in the AMG 6x6.
Right. You would die backwards, upside down in a ball of fire, which is quite frankly the best way to go.
Yeah, if you gotta go, that's the way. That's the way to do it. Go out with a bang, literally. Yeah, the 6x6 is what I would drive. Why not? America, actually, like Germany, whatever.
I agree with you 100%. Like that is exactly what I would do. The Marauder is badass, but as an everyday vehicle, it's pointless. The AMG 6x6 is the own. Period. Like there's no question about that. Yeah. That is the one to own. So then it comes down to which one do I want to drive, and the Marauder is cool, but yeah, it's freaking Bigfoot, America, man. I am gonna drive a damned monster truck. Yeah. That is what I am gonna do.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to make it 3 for 3. The 6x6 is badass. I want to drive it every single day of my life. I want to drive it in the afterlife. I want to drive it when I'm resurrected or whatever. The Marauder, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool, but still, it's just the Marauder. And Bigfoot, come on, I grew up with that thing. I grew up watching that thing crush junkyard cars and big old, big Cadillacs and crap. Yeah. I mean, that's just awesomeness, and I'd have to drive that at least one time if I had the chance.
Yeah. Well, I do want to make a substitute, though. Instead of Bigfoot, you got to do Gravedigger.
Gravedigger.
I was going to say the same thing.
Monster Jam. Kitsy to the Glidebox.
Right. And it's like the monster truck is just like a shoo-in for this thing. Like, so if it was AMG 6x6 Marauder and then that silly bus that Justin was talking about, I would probably burn the bus and drive the Marauder ones because I think the Marauder's cool. But when you throw a monster truck in there, it's like, I don't care what we're talking about. You could be like, okay, you've got the McLaren P1 and the Ferrari, La Ferrari, and Bigfoot. One of the supercars is going to burn because, by God, I'm going to drive Bigfoot.
Yeah, all sense and, logic, it's gone. Bigfoot.
Yep. Yeah.
Gravedigger. Come on. It's
no,
got
you gotta get the
800 horsepower and 60-inch tires. How can you say no to that?
Yeah. You gotta get the Carolina Crush with the big arms that stick out like that on the front of it.
Yeah. El Toro Loco or whatever the thing is called.
I think wasn't that Carolina Crusher? I thought it was.
And then El Toro was the one with the big bull.
The horns on it.
The horns. Wow, we
are. I'm such a loser.
We are showing our age and our affinity of boyhood things.
All right, okay, we're done. We are way the hell over time. I apologize to everybody. Oh no, what am I doing? Oh God, I'm breaking things. We're doing it live. Okay, there we go. So thank you to everyone who's tuned in to join us. Yeah. We appreciate it. We love you all. Thank you to Hulty for tuning in and hanging out with us again. Thank you to everyone who came in from the cool Miata group here in town. If you guys like them, you're going to be hearing a lot more about them in the coming weeks. Thank you to Josh, even though you don't have a actual Miata anymore with your silly Civic. Thank you. Again, everyone, we appreciate you hanging out with us. If you have questions, comments, concerns, you can hit us up in the comments. You can send us an email, podcast@topspeed.com, or you can find us on Twitter. The Twitter for the podcast is just @TopSpeed Podcast. If you want to follow any one of us, you could follow me on Twitter directly. I am @Moeferd. That is MOEFERD. Mark, stop doing silly things in the chat. You can follow Justin.
That's serious.
Justin is @TheCarJunkie, and Mark is simply @Mark McNabb. You can also follow him on Instagram @Mark McNabb. That's where he's most active if you're interested in him. Thank you guys for hanging out. Don't forget, if you love us, you can find us on iTunes, do all that jazz. We're going to play some music, and we're going to call it a day. So thank you guys for hanging out.